Alright, good morning folks. Thought I'd do a quick little YouTube video. Going to be changing brakes today on a 2013 Elantra Coupe. It's got about 95,000 miles on it. Going to do pads and the rotors today. Show you quickly what we're going to be using. I've been happy so far with this power stop stuff. Kind of all the tools you're going to need. This kit's really nice to help push the pistons back, and various lubricants, anti-seize, thread lock, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get this thing up on some jack stands and I'll walk you on through. Okay, we got her up on stands. A couple quick notes here. I like using a breaker bar right there to bust those lugs before you even put it up on the jack. Then you can just use your T-wrench sitting there, spin them off fast. Note the jack stands. There's two different things, jack stands and jacks. Jacks are designed to jack things up. Stands are designed to let things stand. The idea being is you put that jack up, you think it's quick and easy. If that thing loses hydraulic pressure, the car falls down. Take a few minutes, put it up on jack stands, it's not a big deal. Over here too, I want you to take a quick look. I always like to chock that one tire too. Safety, I've got the e-brake on right now. I obviously will have to take that off when it comes time to pop that caliper off the rear. So what I've done up to this point is I've gone ahead and I've sprayed these. This first product that I use here, this PB Blaster, good stuff. This area here in this hub always gets rust. We'll probably have to beat this pretty good to get the old ones off. I've sprayed those backside bolts. I've hit the pads too. I'm taking the whole thing apart, so I'll be cleaning it up. I'm not too worried about lubricant being on it because I'm putting all new stuff in there. I'll be sure to clean it up as we go. I'm going to let that soak for a few minutes, get my stuff square, and we'll be back. Alright, we're starting with the fronts. I'm going to pull the outside of that caliper off. It's these two screws here. This one, and there's one on the bottom. 14 millimeters. Already busting them loose. They come pretty easy. They'll spin right out. That'll allow us to take this whole caliper right off. I'm going to take a bungee cord and just tie it up to the spring. I don't want to put any tension on this hose right here. Once I get it up out of the way, I'll be able to take this bracket off, get that stuff cleaned up, and then start the hardest part. I'll be getting these things out of here. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, just wanted to show you. So you can see it's starting to come out. All I did is take a screwdriver here and just pop that out. That little bit of lubricant in there helps loosen the thing up. Let me get it popped out all the way and hang it up. Okay, you can see I got it off of there and just propped up. Just like I said, I don't want to put any tension on this hydraulic hose. So I went ahead and I made sure I sprayed this piston here. Let that penetrating fluid get on in there. We're going to have to push that back in to make room for the new pads. I'll show you the tool we use to do that. I'm ready to go ahead and take this bracket off. Same deal. There's two on one on the top, one on the bottom, slightly bigger. This one is looks like a 17. So let me pop that off and that'll expose everything we need to get this rotor on off. We'll be back. Okay, so that backside bracket, that 17 millimeter, got a lot of rust on it. I just had to use the breaker bar to get that off of there. It's the same one I used to start those lugs on the tires. Good tool to have. That small ratchet just wasn't going to get it done. Alright, let me pop it off. Okay, it's off. You can see this one here. Rust. The ultimate Loctite. So I'll be sure to clean this up, and these will get some Loctite on them when I put them back in, but I'm going to clean up, get all this rust off it first. We'll break apart this bracket, new clips, new plunger rubbers, a few minutes. So I've got it off of there. Now it's time to get to the serious work. Got to get these two Phillips heads. All that does is hold that rotor in place. Well, really what's holding it right now is the rust on this rim, so I'll be beating it pretty good, I'm sure, with a piece of wood and a hammer. I'm going to spray it again, let it soak. I'm going to take the backside off, and then we'll get into the serious beating. The rear tire is pretty similar. The caliper's got the emergency brake here. So when you go to bust this is still a 14. You can use your socket without a problem, but this bottom one you really can't get a socket in here, so you got to use this newfangled thing. It's called an open-end wrench. You ever seen these before? Believe it or not, they used to be used commonly back in the 70s. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and bust these off, get this caliper on off. Same deal with the bracket on the back side. There'll be two. Get this whole thing out of the way, prop it up with a bungee, and then we'll get this sprayed down real good and hopefully be able to get this rotor off without a whole lot of problem. So got the rear caliper and bracket off, sprayed that again. I'm just giving as much time as I can before the hard work starts. So I just want to show you what this is all about. So here's the bracket with the rear pads, or what's left of them. And they don't wear evenly. You can see that I guess I'd call it the outside pad. It's got more meat on it than the inside pad, but they should look like this. See that big old groove, and it shows you how much meat you got on it. These are off the front. Still got the groove there. So these aren't terrible, but if you're going to change brakes, change brakes. I hate when people just say they're going to change the fronts. Don't worry about the backs. There's a little meat on them. If you're going to take it apart, you might as well do it. That's what a good brake should look like. 95,000 miles, like I said. So another note here, people get lazy. So these brackets here got these mounting clips in them right here. See them? Buy a kit that have the new mounting clips and the new bushings, those rubber bushings. I'll show you when I take one apart why. It's important to do that. There's plenty of kits that are sold that just come with the pads. Always buy the brackets as well. If you're taking it apart, it doesn't take but 5 minutes to change them out, then you know you got a smooth operating brake. All right, I'm going to spray this one more time and see what we can do. Alright, we're back. I'm still letting those things soak, so I'm going to show you how to push these pistons back. So I think I showed you this kit before. It's got all sorts of adapters based upon the pistons that you're pushing back. But let me just show you how it works. So all you do is kind of build the kit based upon which kind of brake you're doing. It's whatever size disc you need based upon the piston. And then it's just got a push plate. There's a left hand and a right hand based upon which way you swivel in. So you just kind of get it positioned. Bear with me here. Get a little clearance. You stick it in, kind of tighten it back. And all you do is rotate it once you get it in there. Now keep in mind what you're doing here is you're pushing that piston back in, which is forcing hydraulic fluid, the brake fluid, back through the line. So it takes a little patience. You got to kind of turn it, let it push up, and keep on going. So that's kind of all you got to do with it. And like I said, with the kit, just use the right adapter and you're good to go. Okay, so that's what it looks like when you get that piston pushed back in. See how it gets flushed to that rubber bushing, so it adds that clearance that we need. And all I did was push that brake fluid back through the line to the master cylinder using that little tool. We'll go do the front. The front's just a flat, it doesn't have those grooves in it. They've got a same kind of deal. You just use the flat adapter for it and just push it on up. Alright, I'm all ready to push the front. So what I want you to see is, see that the piston, see how much is sticking out. Once I rotate this up, I'm just going to push it right up flush. I'll show you a shot of that once I push it. Okay, you see the difference? Just about probably 3/16 of an inch, just pushing that all the way back. Okay, remember I talked about the new hardware, so I'm breaking apart the brackets now. Pulling that slide, pulling out the old plunger. You're going to lubricate this, replace it with the new plunger, and then I've got this whole bracket cleaned up, hit with brake cleaner. It's that stuff. And then I'm going to go ahead and install these new clips. I'll show you how it looks when I'm done. Okay, so there you have it. New brackets installed, the slides got the new boots, they're lubricated. That helps your brakes work right. Literally less than 5 minutes to do it. Make sure when you put these new brackets on, just make sure you seat them all the way. Make it easier for the pads to get on once you get it back together. All they do is they're just spring steel. Just push them and shave them till you get them in there. All right, see it. Okay, so I didn't play around trying to use just the screwdriver. I went right for the impact. So it's a left or right hand impact with a big old bit. You see it. So all you do is position it on there. Make sure you got it set to the right way. Get out the precision adjustment tool while you hit that seated. Kick the old hammeroo and let them have it. Actually didn't go too bad. About 4 or 5 swipes, you can see it's moving. So we're in good shape. Let me pop this off. Alright, so after all the spraying, just the old wood, give it a hit, and I think I'm in business here. Yeah, baby. Like I say, that's the hardest part. You can see how that thing gets rusted in there on that hub. So I'm going to clean that up really good. Hit it with some steel wool, lubricate it before I put the new one on. Alright, we're ready to put her back together. So I've got that whole hub cleaned. I hit it with steel wool. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take some of this heavy bearing grease and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to coat the inside of this and make sure it's got good lubricant. So once I do that, I'm ready to put the new rotor on. New rotors come with a thin coat of oil on them. Make sure you clean them up with some sort of solvent. I use this water immersible stuff. Works good, just get the oil off. Then got my various hardware. These two little guys that hold that rotor on, those are the ones that are such a bear to get off. I had to spray it and then use the impact. I'm actually going to put a little anti-seize on those, just so when I have to take this off again, it won't be such a bear. And then the other 4 that hold that brake pad bracket and then the caliper, those get a little bit of Loctite on them. I just use the blue because you want to take them off again at some point. And the only thing I'll use that grease for is I'll put a little grease on the outside of those pads. So once I get it kind of back together, I'll kind of show you as we go. All right, see, I got it nice and lubed up, got it all clean. I'll throw it on. Like I was saying, a little bit of anti-seize on these little screws make a world of a difference. That thing will come right out next time. Alright, so here it is all buttoned back up, the caliper back on. So you notice I've got that grease there, which may be hard to see in the pads. Let me go over to the other. So I haven't put the caliper back on this one, probably easier to see. So you put that grease on the face of the pads, and it's like that on the back side too, which I'm not sure if you can see that or not. So the idea being that makes them operate nice and smooth. Be careful not to get any of that grease obviously on the rotor, which we took so that time in getting it cleaned up. So all you do is slap that one on, put the tires back on, we should be good to go. Back in a bit. Okay, caliper is all buttoned up. Couple quick things here. So I put a little grease on those lugs because you never get a flat when it's nice out, and when it's raining at 9 o'clock at night, you want to be able to take out that silly little wrench they give you in the trunk that you can't find and be able to get those lugs off without killing yourself. Change the tire. Hose looks real good, no reason to replace any of that. So once I get these back on the tires, I'll just go through and pump the brakes, put that piston back to them, then we'll go through the break-in procedure. Okay, so they're all buttoned up. I always showed you these fronts and backs, but obviously I did all 4. It'll never look that shiny again. Hey, so one other quick thing, you gotta go through the break-in procedure. So take a minute and you read this. It really helps long the life or extend the life of the pads. Just follow this procedure that comes with the brake pads. You do that and hopefully you won't have any issues when you go through your test drive and be good for another 100,000. Hey, thanks for watching.